Which hit? This is the shortest.
Call hello, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great Melson of Ruel. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. And this is something quick just for encouragement. So I really want to let this play all the way through because I don't know if this is from a Facebook post, so I don't know if it's going to refresh or not if I leave the page. So I'll do my best to just let it play through, or we'll paraphrase some scriptures. But really, this is just something for encouragement, right? And just as I turn the sword on myself, all right, spiritually, I want to put that encouragement inward and then bring it outward as well. You know, I want to have that a good balance in everything that I do because the scriptures say so, among other things. All right, so let's let Buddy cook real quick, and then I may pause for a paraphrase scripture. I may not, I don't know, but let's go.
TikTok I've ever seen to simultaneously validate and call out so many people at once, which led to that comment count of people agreeing but not knowing what to do next with this information. I'll show you an answer from the most unexpected place, but first you need to hear what she says.
Most people don't realize that if you think that every decision that you make needs to be the exact right decision, that is a sign you are stuck in fight or flight.
Which hit people like a ton of bricks. She does go on to explain it, so check out her account for that. It took me seeing it in action for me to get it, so let me show you that. Just promise you won't run, okay? You promised. Wait, please. Iron Man 1, and pretty much Tony Stark as a character, embody this to a T. I'll only give the necessary context. So in the first Iron Man, Tony is kidnapped and held hostage in a cave. And of course, being who he is, he adapts to the situation and builds his way out of the problem. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out what he built in here. So to mount his escape, he makes the first Iron Man armor. Really rough.
Okay, real quick. So from the beginning, I want to at least let something close to a minute go through. The girl in the beginning said, if you think that every decision has to be the exact right one, you are stuck in fight or flight. And immediately what popped up in my head was the curses. Deuteronomy 28 and after the 17th verse on up, I believe. And we'll get that in a second after the video's done. But it said, that we would grope in the noonday, right? We would not know peace day or night. Now, is that every Jake? No, but it's the mass majority, right? If every curse was upon every Israelite, then that would make the Lord a liar, because we would literally be destroyed. Look at how we are being destroyed, have been destroyed, all right? And that was just the curses being split among the nation, which we are of the sand of the sea. So you realize, yeah, it could get way more wicked, but Yahweh Shai, even in punishment, it's measured, okay? And then the scriptures do tell you, I will correct thee in measure. So I'm going to let that play, and I got a little piece of paper, so I think I need to write that down before I forget it. So let's let it play.
Just a prototype, but the concept is there. Well, spoiler alert, it works, and he escapes. Now, since he has access to all of his resources, he decides to make a Mark II of the armor. Mark 1 only had the tech for one repulsor burst, so one flight. So for Mark 2, he wants sustained flight, which all in all is going pretty well. It's a little wonky, but works. And keep that specifically in mind. So after upgrading the repulsors, Mark 2's done, with of course the usual Tony Stark upgrades, which includes AI. So keep in mind, he's only supposed to be walking around and testing this out. This is his first time putting it on, so nothing crazy, right?
Do the weather and ATC check, start listening in on ground control.
Sir, there are still terabytes of calculations needed before an actual flight.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
What he just said is supposed to be just a funny line, but you'll see how that ties back. And so yeah, he risks his life on his first draft. And since he's already a genius at this point, that's pretty much okay. Unless he starts stressing things at all. But he wouldn't do that on a test flight, right?
Alright, let's see what this thing can do.
He decides to go for the record of fixed-wing flight, approximately 85,000 feet, but as he climbs, the AI notices something.
Sir, there is a potentially fatal buildup of ice occurring.
At high speeds and altitudes, temperatures drop dramatically and fast. But it normally would take a bit longer on like a large plane. But with the
All right, so what does that say? So I thought I had a pen, so I'm going to have to stick to paraphrasing here. So the first one I mentioned was, he would correct us in measure, or Baruch 4 and 6, where it tells you we were not sold unto the nations for our destruction, but for our punishment. There was a need for a correction. And you see this analogy here about, this physical representation of the analogy of climbing to new heights and moving to uncertainty, moving into a situation of, not being comfortable, discomfort. English is, I guess, ain't my first language anymore. Moving to a situation of discomfort, right? That is a part of growth. and you don't have all the answers. And the unknown is a scary thing. But that's where your faith comes in. All right. So obviously he trusted in his AI, right? But our trust and our belief and our hope is in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? It is not in AI. All right. AI, what we use now, ironically, this movie came out, I think, in like 07, 08, 09. Ironically, AI is a tool for all of us now if you use it right. Okay. But anyway, let's see what he does here. If you haven't seen the movie, or if you don't remember the movie, let's see what he does here. He doesn't panic. All right. And he just kind of leaves things of the unknown, and make split decisions within the unknown. But those split decisions are backed by faith, are backed by confidence, all right, are backed by belief, all right, knowing that you make a decision as long as you are within the realm of uprightness, all right, and with this would be the mathematic realm, of whatever, or physical, realm of physics. He's operating within this test. He knows he can, kind of do what he needs to do. So that's how you flip-flop that. One in the physical, the other in the spirit.
Size of the suit, the icing happens pretty quick. And he ends up losing all power at somewhere around 85,000 feet. So he's lost all functionality, flight, AI, all gone. Though thankfully the manual release for his flaps still works, so he's able to break up a lot of the ice at once, which of course jumpstarts the system.
So with the manual release for the flap, the other scripture that came to my mind was that the Lord would always make a way of escape. And let's see. I don't want it to... see if we can do... I don't even have it up. I don't want it to reset because I
a lot of
won't...
the ice at once, which
I won't find it, but we'll keep that. You look that up. I will make a way of escape. All right, just do that. Way of escape, KJV. All right, you look that up.
of course jumpstarts the system, gets him back in business. I promise this track, stay with me. Now he could have thought of all that beforehand, couldn't he have? And he's a genius, so he should have. Now this is where it all comes together. Because later towards the climax of the movie, the villain shows up. And because they wanted to use...
Right, he's a genius, right? So did he lean not to thine own understanding? All right, even if you are smart, and we all, most of us have a certain level of intelligence outside of the spirit. Okay, the spirit just puts you on a whole nother level. But again, he didn't lean to his own understanding. He let the test roll as the test rolled, and he rolled with the wave, right? And figured it out, all right? Because he believed in the technology, and he believed in, if you watched Iron Man, he knew what was up. Okay, he knew what he needed to do. All right, now in a spiritual sense, you know what you need to do. You know what's up. All right, we're not trusting in carnality. I'll keep saying that. It is replace, quote unquote, AI, Iron Man suit, all that. Replace that with the trust and belief in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the creator and controller of all things seen and unseen. And he loves you. Now, guilty does not go unpunished. All right, so if you do feel some things, you do feel some pressure, hey man, you know how you need to operate. Don't you don't when you're transferred to a, be humble, or be, dang man, I really want to get that. Let me just, there's so many scriptures popping to my head, but I don't want to refresh this and lose it. I did save it, I believe. I'm gonna let it play. We'll let it play.
the suit for nefarious purposes. They stole the designs of the suit. So now they've made their own evil version. Whereas Tony has perfected his first prototype of the main platform that he's known for. But by this point, he's used up most of the suit's energy. And the villain suit...
Salakia, forgive me. Be cheerful when you are transferred to a lower state. There you go. And that's in the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach. Came to me, call hello Yahweh Bashem Shai. So yeah, and understand that whatever you're going through, you got to internalize and you got to think, this may, is this a test? Is this, is this something that I'm paying for because I know I done messed up somewhere? If you sit and think and you meditate and you pray, the Lord will give you an answer. And with that answer, you know also how you ought to behave. Walking upright, always keeping your integrity.
It's pretty much designed for combat, while his is not right now. So he's getting his butt kicked, but then he gets an idea. If he's not doing so good on land, maybe he'll do better in the air. And of course, the villain suit's been upgraded to have flight capabilities as well, so they're off. And just know, he's trying to take Tony out of the game, permanently. So at first glance, it just looks like this man's running. But remember, we've seen this setup before. I told you this was going to come back. So of course, as the villain's closing in, he's got our hero. Whatever will he do?
How'd you solve the icing problem? Icing problem? Might want to look into it.
And I already hear some of y'all saying, he just knew because it already happened to him before. Right, because it happened. Every step of the way, things were incomplete. As a genius, he could have considered each step way more carefully, circumvented all these mistakes. So the thing that helped me is that action precedes clarity. The doing comes first.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
And I know that's supposed to sound stupid, but it really works. We paralyze ourselves because we want to think it all the way through so we don't run into the icing problem. So we have a perfectly smooth flight every time. But the commenter said it best. But there's no right decision, so I do nothing.
And that's a sad thing. No right decision, so I do nothing. Yeah, that's pretty sad, and that sounds like somebody would, who was not blessed to have the spirit, or they are in a period of learning that they just don't know about yet. But yeah, as he says, sometimes you have to run before you can walk, and that's just stepping out on faith, right? And of course, Iron Man or Tony Stark could have tried and calculated all these things and not made a move, but he decided to do what? To step out on faith, and to just sometimes you just have to make a decision. And of course, these are within the confines of the law. Every decision isn't going to be the right one. And it says a righteous man falls 7 times, all right, but you have to get back up. So you will make mistakes, you will fail, but the only time you truly failed is if you don't learn. Okay, there's an old saying in the South. I believe I think I heard one of my uncles, maybe one of my grands or great grands say it, but when you sit there too long, it's 2 of them actually. One is shit or get off the pot, and the other is study long, study wrong. So sometimes you just have to make that decision. You have to step out on faith, okay? And not only that, what you can also link this to is sometimes if you're in a rut, when you're feeling low, when you feel like you can't read, you can't concentrate, you can't do this, you can't do that, so you just do nothing. And I've been guilty of it. Put that foot forward, just read, take an action, say a prayer, whatever it is, do something. And you'll see that in a couple minutes, which usually has happened to me, boom, I'm deep in scripture, and then I'm like, I've read something that maybe didn't click to me then, but now it clicks. All right, sometimes that's just how you have to operate. You have to step out on faith and put that foot forward. All right.
Your answer's in your problem. And yeah, maybe not on a test flight with your life on the line. But you gotta understand missing is part of the process. Stop seeing it as failure. It's calibration. Because your mind has flaps that can only activate when you're in the free fall. So the faster you can safely get to that, the better. One of my favorite books put it the best way I've ever heard it. Learning without thinking is labor lost. And thinking without learning is perilous. I almost forgot.
And I think that is an excellent proverb. The scriptures also tell you things that are written aforetime for your learning. Not only that, but you will go through something. You will go through an unknown issue, right? Or sometimes old demons want to come back just to see if they can work their way in. And if you have been on the up and up, then those old demons, they don't have the power that they have over you before. But then you get a new uncharted territory, all right, where you're going to have to release your manually release those flaps. And when you do, first of all, you'll know. Because you will be plagued mentally. Or maybe there's a physical, but more than likely it will be a mental plaguing, because goodness gracious, that is just that's the condition of the battle. You walk around outside looking cool and looking calm and collected and normal, but in your mind is a spiritual war, and you are constantly fighting off thoughts that aren't yours. But again, that comes with prayer and spending time in the Word and spending time in the Spirit. You know what thought is yours and what thought isn't, and you got to rebuke those thoughts. All right, so in the midst of all of that, all right, you're gonna hit another test. All right, and in that one, you gonna know that motherfucker gonna hit you hard, okay? But you study the scriptures, read through the things that you have that happened aforetime. Lean on past experiences, because the Lord will bring you through certain things just so you can look back and say, if he brought me through this, he gonna bring me through that. What did I do? I exercised my faith. I trusted. I believed in it. The Lord's gonna put situations in front of you so you can actually exercise that muscle, make it strong, make that faith muscle strong. So you have things to look back on. Physically, you can look back on them, and then you can look back on them in the spirit here when you read the scriptures. All right, there are no mistakes made with an omnipotent power. All things happen for your good, right? If you are striving for righteousness. All right, I'm not talking if you just living the way you want to live, doing what you want to do when you want to do it. I'm talking specifically to those who are striving for righteousness. These things happen. Don't think that the Lord is forsaking you. Don't think that the Lord has left you. If you read through the Psalms, there's a lot of times where David is like, Lord, hast thou forsaken me? You're going to feel that. He hasn't. You on the up and up. That is just nothing but another attack on the mind that you must rebuke and continue to pray, because the Lord wants to see that. That's another reason why you go through the things you go through, because gold is tried in the fire. You must be proven. And you also have to experience, because that is the best teacher. So I think I've said enough. I've only got some rough paraphrases of scriptures. Hopefully you play those back, go look for them, and do your own reading. So with that being said, I pray that you are encouraged and edified. Shalom.